Now, the battle for Iowa rages on. Meanwhile, Newt Gingrich now holds the lead in several key polls there. But Mitt Romney still within striking distance, despite spending relatively little time in the state. Tomorrow, some of Iowa's social conservative leaders will again gather to discuss who will be their anti-Romney candidate. So why is there so much resistance to Romney? Coming out on top? Joining us now is former Jeb Bush spokesman Justin Sayfie, publisher of SayfieReview.com, and former Clinton pollster Doug Schoen, who is a Fox News contributor. Justin and Doug, welcome.
Thanks, sir.
Doug, let me start with you.
Sure.
The perception has been that eventually Romney will get it.
Good.
But, he's still got a lot of baggage, it seems. There's the anti-Romney movement just refuses to go away. Why?
Well, because Romney's not a social conservative, Eric. He's flip-flopped on abortion. He's flip-flopped on climate change. He is somebody who, as the union leader endorsement put it this morning, is somebody who tells you what you want to hear rather than what you believe. And I think ultimately, with 62% of Iowa being social conservatives, Mitt Romney is in a much weaker position today than he was last night. And I think it's likely with this endorsement that the anti-Romney sentiment will begin to galvanize around Gingrich, if only because he's the last man standing in that camp.
Doug, Justin, could that happen and translate from New Hampshire to Iowa?
It's remarkable because on the Republican side of the field, we've had candidates that have gotten trendy from time to time. First, it was Donald Trump, then it was Michelle Bachmann, then it was Rick Perry, then it was Herman Cain, and now it's Newt Gingrich. So I think to answer your question, it's certainly possible, but Newt Gingrich is going to have to withstand the scrutiny, withstand the spotlight, and that's going to come with him being the front runner. And only time will tell whether he's got the capacity to do that or whether the Republican base will continue to search for someone that they feel comfortable supporting.
Well, what do we look for when we consider him the actual continued front runner?
When we look for Mitt as the actual front runner?
No, Gingrich.
Well, a couple of things. First, will his poll numbers stand up? Will they hold up? He's now leading in about 4 or 5 states and leading nationally. Will the immigration comment that he made in the foreign policy debate hurt him? Will the ties to Freddie Mac hurt him? If he can hold that position, Eric, for the next couple of weeks and not have what Jordan quite correctly described as happening, which is sort of a flavor of the week sentiment. If Newt consolidates that position, he is in a very strong position, not only to be the anti-Romney, but to be the Republican nominee.
Well, he's trailing Romney by 30 points, 42% for Romney, 14% for Newt Gingrich in New Hampshire. Doug, can he make that up? That's a tremendous amount.
Two things about that quickly. First, that will change if he wins New Hampshire. Realize that's a big if, but those polls will almost certainly tighten. And second, that's the only place Mitt Romney has over 25%. And if you look at South Carolina, Florida, Iowa, you see that Gingrich is either tied or well ahead. So Romney is in, frankly, real trouble now. And I suspect his campaign is having emergency strategy sessions as we speak.
Justin, they put a lot on New Hampshire. The Romney people folks have. He's from, right across the border. But look, McCain won New Hampshire back in 2008. He came in number 2. Justin?
Right. Well, look, I think, Mitt Romney is going to, I think right now the polls showing that even though we've had these flavor of the month, that Mitt Romney has always been strong in New Hampshire. I think what happens in Iowa is going to be interesting. Look, you're going to have Michelle Bachmann there, who's a native daughter of that state. Rick Perry's got his campaign. He's got a lot of money that he's going to put into Iowa. I think a key for Newt Gingrich is to do well in the Iowa caucuses. And don't forget Ron Paul. Ron Paul's also did very well in the Iowa straw poll in early August. So for Gingrich, he needs to do well in Iowa, but he's going to have a lot of competition there. Romney, it's going to be tough to unseat Romney and get him out of that front runner position in New Hampshire. And then once you have New Hampshire, then you come to South Carolina, then you come to Florida, and you could have 2 different winners win both of those states. But also keep your eye on Romney in Iowa, too. He stayed at the front of the polls there, and he actually could do well there.
All right, Justin, quick prediction. Iowa
prediction. I'm sorry, that's going to have to be a toss-up. Ask me 1 month from now, and I'll be in a better position to tell you.
Okay, New Hampshire?
New Hampshire, I think you have to say Mitt Romney. There's no evidence that anyone's going to overtake him there.
All right, Doug, you too. Your turn.
Newt Gingrich, and then in Iowa, and then a real horse race in New Hampshire. And if Newt Gingrich wins Iowa and New Hampshire, you have a fundamental change in the Republican race, Eric.
Wow. Doug Schoen, Justin Sayfie, thanks so much for both joining us.
Appreciate it.
What a race it is.
Yes,
thanks,
indeed.
gentlemen.
Thank you.